With the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious. Assalamu alaikum, Farooq Abdullah here. I'm full English with your class of History of English Literature. Dear students, today we are going to study Elizabethan poetry. And I will suggest you people to keep your pen and paper with you people so that you people may keep jotting down the important points while I am delivering you the lecture. So I will suggest you people to pause this video and get your pen and papers with you people. And I will make you write some important points of this lecture as well. So hopefully you might have got your pen and paper with you people. And let me tell you one thing more, that I cannot create that kind of environment that is created during physical classes. So we are trying our level best to be in touch with you people, and we are trying our level best to teach you people the best we can during these online classes. So Elizabethan poetry. We are today studying Elizabethan poetry. Dear students, when you are going to study Elizabethan poetry now, you must bear this fact in your mind that Elizabethan poetry was composed during the age of Renaissance. And we have already discussed in our physical classes that what were the salient features of the age of Renaissance. What were the chief characteristics of the age of Renaissance? Love for learning, love for knowledge, love for power. These were the important features of Renaissance. And if we are going to sum up Renaissance in one word, I discussed with you people that we can sum it up. We can sum it up, this entire age of Renaissance, in one word, and that one word is humanism. And what's humanism? That man discovered himself. Man came to be the central figure of this universe. Man came to be the crown of creature, and man realized his worth. Man identified himself. Man, came to know that he was the sole figure in this universe for whom this entire universe has been created. So these are important features of Renaissance. So when you are going to study the poetry of Elizabethan age, these things must strike your mind, that in Elizabethan poetry there won't be any dealing of church. There won't be the stories of the knights who were on different adventures, performing different works. You must keep this thing in your mind as well, that what were the characteristics of medieval poetry, the poetry of Anglo-Norman age. What were the characteristics of the poetry of that era? I have told you people that the characteristics of that era, the poetry of that era were bravery, knights fighting different battles, going on different wars for the honor of their nation, for the honor of church, even for the honor of themselves as well. You can get an idea of these the stories of knights from that drama serial Artugral. Artugral is fighting for the honor of his religion, for the honor of his tribe. Same was the condition during that medieval age, and the poetry of medieval age depicted and it reflected the spirit of that age. And in the poetry of medieval age, we find these things, that bravery, knights, battles, these kind of stories are there in medieval age. Now the poetry of Renaissance is replete with freshness. It is replete with vigor, with potency, with zeal, with zest, with enthusiasm, because man had become the central figure of this universe, and it is about man's feelings. It is about his sentiments. It is about his emotions. It is about his feelings. It is about his imagination as well, because we didn't find any slant of imagination in medieval poetry, but in the poetry of Renaissance age you will see that imagination, the poetry of particularly the poetry of Edmund Spenser. This is where from imagination starts in the English poetry. So we'll discuss these poets and the prominent figures and the prominent works of Elizabethan age. First, you keep keep one thing clear in your mind. That is how and what was the first volume of poetry that was written during Elizabethan period. You just note it down. It was Total's Miscellany. It was published during, I have written over here the year, it was published during 1577. It was published in 1577. Total's Miscellany, write it down, this is important. Tottel apostrophe S. Tottel apostrophe S, or Miscellany, Miscellany. Total's Miscellany. From this volume, actually the poetry of Elizabethan age starts. Now, what this volume is all about? To tell you people about this volume, I'm going to take you somewhere else. I'm going to, take you toward Henry Howard, the Earl of Surrey, and Thomas Wayyat. Who were these two poets? These two poets brought the form of sonnet. This is a very important point that I'm going to discuss with you people, that these two poets, Earl of Surrey, his name was Henry Howard, and the other one, Thomas Wayyat. These two people brought the form of sonnet in English poetry. Means to say that sonnet was unknown in English poetry, and these were the two poets who initiated this form, sonnet. Now, what is sonnet? Sonnet is a 14-line poem in English iambic pentameter, and the last two lines are a couplet. Last two lines are rhyming. So these two people, these two poets brought this form in England. And from where did they bring this form of sonnet toward England? They brought it from Italy. In Italy, during that time, during the age of Renaissance, I had told you people a name, Petrarch. Petrarch was a poet, an Italian poet. He was writing sonnets, so they borrowed this form from there, from him, from Petrarch, and they introduced this form here in England. So from now, the introduction of sonnets starts here in England. If someone asks you that what was the contribution of Surrey and Wayyat towards English literature, so you can say that these two poets introduced the form of sonnet the very first time in England. And another thing that is very important to keep in your mind is that they also initiated blank verse, although they didn't make the perfect use of blank verse, but the credit goes to them that they introduced blank verse there in England, and later on same blank verse was used by Christopher Marlowe, and later on it was perfected by William Shakespeare. So their contribution is introduction of sonnets and launching of blank verse in England. Now we were talking about Total's Miscellany. So what was Total's Miscellany all about? So Total's Miscellany is a volume of sonnets and songs written by these two poets, Earl of Surrey, Mr. Henry Howard, and the other one is Wayyat. So coming toward the next point, I have got these points over here in front of me so that I may not skip any important point. Philip Sidney, write down this name, Philip Sidney. This is an important figure in Elizabethan poetry. Why is it important figure? Let me tell you people that he was a courtier. At the same time, he was a soldier. He was a knight as well. He was a poet. He was a writer. He was a statesman. He was a versatile genius. And Queen Elizabeth called him that he was a pearl in her crown. And this is an important statement of Elizabeth about Philip Sidney. Philip Sidney was the man who laid the foundation of imaginative poetry in England. His important work, you may write it down, Astrophel and Stila. Astrophel and Stila, Astrophel, Astrophel and Stila, Stella, Astrophel and Stila. This volume is all about his personal experiences, let me tell you. This is replete with imagination of the poet and his personal experiences. He had a love affair with the sister of Earl of Essex, and that was unattainable love. He could not achieve that love, so he was failed in that love affair. So because he himself was feeling that pain, he himself was feeling that agony, so his personal experiences enriched his poetry. His personal experiences strengthened his poetry, and it strengthened his imagination as well. You people know that Atawla Isa Khelvi, it is said that the songs, it is related, I don't know that whether there is a fact behind this story or not, or there isn't any fact about behind this story, that it is said that Atawla Isa Khelvi, when he sang his songs in his initial age, that was just because of his personal experience of failure in love. So that personal experience of Atawla Isa Khelvi, that added more grief to his voice, to his songs. So he became popular not only here in Mianwali, not only here in Pakistan, but he became famous and he became popular all across the world. Same is there with Philip Sidney, because Philip Sidney himself had that pain, he himself had that agony, he himself had that grief. That's why grief of failure in love. That's why we see that his poetry is quite powerful. Moving ahead, now we are going to talk about the main and the most important poet of Elizabethan poetry, Elizabethan age, that is Philip Sidney. Philip Sidney, let me tell you people that Philip Sidney is considered to be the bridge. He is considered to be the bridge between what and what? Bridge between medieval age and modern age. Because, in his poetry, he discussed both ages. He penned down the bitter realities of his age, as well as he depicted the past glories, the glories of the past, the glories of the medieval age, the glories of the knights who were performing different acts of chivalry, different acts of bravery. So he penned down both the ages. That's why he's a very soft poet. That's why he is considered to be the bridge between medieval age and between modern age. He had also his being during the time of Queen Elizabeth, and his famous work, for which he is well known to the man in street, is his work Fairy Queen. Now, what is this Fairy Queen about? Fairy Queen is an allegory. Write down both these things: Fairy Queen, in the book of Edmund Spenser, and allegory. You will write in your notes. I have written all these things on the notes. You may consult the notes if you find any query. If you find any inconvenience with my lecture, you can consult the notes. Everything is written right over there, so your query will be addressed, inshallah. So you might have written that Fairy Queen, and you also might have written the word elegy. No, allegory. Allegory, allegory. First, you must make your mind clear with the concept of allegory. That what's allegory? Allegory is a piece of art. This is a story where there is an other story under the surface of the literal meaning. We do not mean what we actually want to say in that story. I think that I'm not going to make it clear. I repeat it, I'm going to say it again. That hidden meanings of any story is called allegory. Apparent meaning are something else, and hidden meanings are something else. Oh, well, I'm going to make it clear. Yes, I'm going to tell you a story. Don't be disappointed and dejected. I'm not going to tell you a very long story. I'm going to tell you the story in just a few sentences. This is the story of listen to me quite attentively. This story is very interesting. There were a few monkeys in a forest. I repeat that in a forest, monkeys were living over there. And those monkeys decided that we should elect someone as our prime minister. So they selected one monkey just because he had won a World Cup in a World Cup of a famous game that was quite popular in that forest. So that monkey had won a World Cup of that popular game. So the other monkeys, the rest of the monkeys, selected him as their prime minister. Not because of his administrative abilities, not because of his managerial skill, not because of his professional expertise, but just because he had won a World Cup of that famous or popular game. Now tell me that what was coming in your mind while I was telling you this story. Whether Imran Khan is coming in your mind when I'm going to tell you this story. Did I take the name? Did I mention the name of Imran Khan? But even then, it was, echoing in your mind that I'm going to tell you the story of Imran Khan. I'm very sorry to say that I was not going to tell you the story of Imran Khan. I was not going to tell you the story of Pakistan. I was not going to tell you the story of political scenario of Pakistan. I was just telling you the story of a forest, and I was just going to tell you the story of monkeys who are electing one monkey out of them as their prime minister. This is called allegory. That the hidden meanings of a writer are quite different what it appears from the literal meaning of that text. The people who have done their graduation in English literature, BA in English literature, they might have gone through that famous novel of George Orwell, Animal Farm. That is also allegory. So this particular work for which we are going to talk about, Fairy Queen, this is an allegory. On one hand, in this piece of art, on one hand, Edmund Spenser is penning down the corruption in the court of Queen Elizabeth, and on the other hand, he's also describing the glories of the past, that knights are going on different adventures, and they are winning the heart of the queen, and they are winning the heart of the people for their own honor, for the honor of the queen, and for the honor of their nation. So the other thing which is quite famous for Edmund Spenser is his work Shefford's calendar. Write it down. Shefford, जिसका मतलब गिरडरिया होता है, Shefford's calendar. There are 12 parts of this book, Shefford's calendar. Each part is devoted to one month of the year. So 12 months are there in a year. So 12 parts are there. Each part is devoted to 1 month of the year. So this is also very important. Moral questions, religious issues have been discussed in this work, Shefford's calendar. He dedicated this work, Shefford's calendar, to a prominent poet, maybe asked in short questions as well. he dedicated this work to Philip Sidney that we have already studied. He dedicated this work, and he also wrote a famous elegy. The name of that elegy is Astrophel. Write it down: Astrophel. This is an elegy. So what's an elegy? This may also come in short questions as well, that what's an elegy? Sorry. Elegy is a poem that is written to mourn the death of somebody or any tragic event. For example, in Urdu, we can say that the word marsiya, we can say that the poetry that is written to mourn the death of anybody or written on any tragic event or tragic incident. So this poem that I have made you people write, Astrophel, this is an elegy, and this elegy was written on the death of Philip Sidney. And last, I will say that Charles Lamb was a critic, and he says that Edmund Spenser is poet's poet. As we say that he is the teacher of the teachers, Edmund Spenser is poet's poet. This is what Charles Lamb says about Edmund Spenser. And another achievement of Edmund Spenser is that he introduced Spenserian stanza in English literature. Spenserian stanza was that stanza of 9 lines. This was the invention of himself that he made in English literature. It was later on used by John Keats, if I am not wrong. It was used. This same Spenserian stanza was used by John Keats in his famous work The Eve of St. Agnes. It was also used by P.B. Shelley in his The Revolt of Islam. It was also used by Lord Byron. These are the names of the giants of Romantic age, the most famous poets of Romantic age. The names that I am right now mentioning: John Keats, P.B. Shelley, Lord Byron. Lord Byron also used this same Spenserian stanza in his work The Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, I think. Yes, this is quite exactly like this, that he used this Spenserian stanza. So through this you can estimate his genius, that the Spenserian stanza that he launched the very first time in English literature quite back in 16th century, toward the end of 16th century. Same Spenserian stanza was used by Romantic poets like John Keats, Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley. So that was all about Elizabethan poetry. In this short span of time and on these online lectures, we can cover up the things just like this, not more than this. Summing up, you can read out of the notes that I have provided you people. I have sent through WhatsApp to you people. All these things are written on those notes. And if there happen to come a question, a lengthy question, a long question in examination, like write a note on Elizabethan poetry, or compare and contrast the poetry of medieval age and the poetry of Elizabethan age, you may jot down, you may write down, you may note down all the points that I have discussed with you people. And one thing I will suggest you people, that enhance your writing skill. Keep writing different things. Now, the lecture that I have delivered to you people, once you have heard this lecture, once you have noted different important points that I have shared with you people, then sit with ease and keep writing down all the things that I have told you people. This will be a good practice. On daily basis, keep writing down a few pages, a couple of pages. Keep writing down. Keep writing down. Write. This is the thing that you can excel, and this is the thing which will bear you fruit in your annual midterm and final term examination. I hope that you might have got my lecture. I'm expecting that you will be having good